So this week, the Packers started OTAs, and it was nearly 100% attendance. The only player who was not there was Robert Rochelle, and apparently was an excused absence for a personal reason. So basically, everyone was there except him. And I think that when you look at years past here in Green Bay, for a while, Aaron Rodgers was skipping OTAs, I think at least in 2021 and 2022. And from that point on, we saw other players like Lazard at times, different guys, more veteran type players, skip out on OTAs, and they are voluntary. Players do not have to show up to these things. And so, my question for this video is are the Packers more bought in than in years past? And I think, when you look back to last season, we move on from Aaron Rodgers. He gets traded away to the New York Jets. And then Jordan Love enters as the starter. He takes all the reps in the most of the starter reps throughout the offseason. And the whole question last offseason, leading into the season, throughout lots of the season was, are the Packers going to be able to move from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love? And is Jordan Love the guy? Can he be who the Packers hoped he would be when they drafted him in the first round? And of course, now we all know the answer is 100% yes. And to see the Packers, pretty much everyone being there, I think shows just how bought in all these guys are, how hungry they are for the 2024 season, because they were this close to making it to the NFC Championship in a year where I would say most did not expect the Packers to even be anywhere near where they were last year, how far they got. I would say most did not expect them to get to the playoffs. Even in my mind and most of our minds, I think the thought was, hopefully Jordan Love can prove he's the guy. And if the Packers happen to make the playoffs, then that's just a bonus. And they did that, destroy the Cowboys, which I think that win can at times, now looking back, be discounted a little bit because people say, the Cowboys are the Cowboys, and they don't show up in big moments. But we have to remember how good the Cowboys were that season. And I know this happens lots of years for the Cowboys. It's oh my gosh, it's finally their year, and then they let themselves down. But they were one of the best defenses in the NFL, one of the teams that forced, I'm pretty sure I don't know if they're number one, but they're at least up there when it came to forced turnovers. And the Packers went into Dallas, and I was lucky to be at that game here in Dallas where I do live, and to witness just the air get taken out of that entire stadium. The Packers destroyed the Cowboys, who had been one of the best teams in the NFL. So we can't take that away from them. And that's why I do think the Packers are going to be one of the best teams in the NFL. And just to see all these guys come in here, Jordan Love, even though he could have decided to sit out these OTAs because, if he really wants to force his hand to get a contract done, he could have done that. And instead, he decides to show up and to be with the team and to play with the team, which I do think is impactful because the more time you have with your teammates, the more time you have with the coaches, getting to get everything settled after everyone comes back from an offseason. I do think it's better. And in years past, when Aaron Rodgers didn't show up, I didn't have that much of a problem with it just because with Aaron, being a veteran in the league, having so much time in Green Bay, it sounded like for him to be ready for the season, mentally, he needed more time away. And I understand if you're playing in the NFL for that long, that maybe you need a little more time. I fully get it. Do I think it would have been better probably if he was there? I would say, I don't see how that can hurt. And so that's why I think when you do see pretty much everyone show up to OTAs, it does give you some confidence that all these guys are bought in and ready to go and want to be here for each other. And here's a quote from Matt LaFleur on the attendance. He said, "It's everything to us. If you look at our attendance here, I know we had one guy missing today for a personal matter. We've had almost 100% the entire offseason, which has been the best that we've ever had, or best that we've had since I've been here." And I do think that Jordan Love, his leadership ability, what he's done, the fact that he did show up, even though he could have stayed at home and, been like, you know what, I'm going to wait for my contract, not risk anything. He shows up here and he plays with the team. And I do think when you have a leader like that show up, it's pretty much expected that everyone else would show up. Because if Jordan Love shows up and he is in some kind of contract talks, I don't think there's any problems going on there, but they're having talks. If Jordan Love shows up, it's sort of why would anyone else not show up? And I think that in years past, if you're a veteran player who, has no risk of losing out on your starting spot if you miss OTAs, then those guys I think would be more likely to stay home. Whereas if you're a fringe roster player, it would make zero sense to not show up to OTAs because you're having to fight for a roster spot. And if you're not already, if you don't already have your starting spot pretty much secured, it's pretty risky, I think, to not show up to OTAs. But in years past, we did see different guys not show up. They wanted to, have a few more days and doing their own thing, which I'm not opposed to, but I do think it's better when you do have everyone there, because that's just more time with each other, especially with this new defense being brought in by Jeff Hafley, especially for the defensive players. I mean, any day that you have together where you can really try to bring this new system in and really start to understand it, the better. And so I do think that we're seeing a team that I do think was bought in last season. And I'm not sure if they're necessarily more bought in this year. I just think that they have more confidence and they sort of know what they have in this team. And so because of that, I feel like there's more of a belief in what's going to happen. Where last year, I would bet lots of these guys thought like, oh, we probably have a chance of being good. Whereas now, I think this team saw what they are. And so they're like, oh no, like we are a legit team. We're going to come into this season seen as one of the best. We have to come prepared and ready to go. And so because of that, I do think that they are, more ready and they're sort of, they know what to expect from who they are as a team. And I think that they really see where they can go this year. Where last year, sure, there was a chance probably in their minds that they think maybe we could be a legit team. And lots of them said that they could. And I do think lots of them believed it. But now they know no doubt that they have the ability to go far in the playoffs. They already won a playoff game last year. And I think that because they were so close to the NFC Championship, you can just see the hunger in all these guys to, want to show up and be with everyone. And I do think that this team has great chemistry. You can tell that there's a bond between everyone. They all want to play for each other, which is awesome to see. And I do think it starts at the top with Jordan Love. So those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. And if you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys next time.